What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for X Day on Void Launch. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Void Launch is the map where we have to shoot down Amon's shuttles. There are 7 waves of shuttles, which increase in size, number of prongs, and escorts. We cannot let more than 4 shuttles escape, otherwise we lose the game. Every single command costs resources, depending on the supply count of the units being issued orders. Each unit given a command spends money. Units sometimes run around in fear when hit.
Commanding buildings also costs money. We have Twotuuu and Sticksbender in the call for us today. How are you guys?
Good.
Good. Right, great. That makes 3 of us. I'm actually good today. Nice. Sticksbender,
Hooray.
how will we rank the commanders this week?
Okay, so basically it's quite simple, really. We're just looking for used buildings, because buildings don't get murdered by mutators, which is nice. And the ranking will largely come down to who is best at doing the building spam strategy of defeating Void Launch. If you can use top bar to destroy the objective, that's also okay. Just then you'll probably still want buildings to defend attack waves. It's no matter what, it's going to come down to buildings. So yeah, if you don't have buildings, you're going to be a lot worse.
All right.
And you'll be seeing how good your top bar is.
How about you, Twotuuu?
Yeah, nothing much to add. This is pretty straightforward. It's just using buildings because you don't need commands to tell them to attack, and they don't get affected by fear, so they can keep attacking throughout the mission.
Wonderful. Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur, so his roaches will get affected by fear if you use them to lure, so it's best to use a spore crawler like always, and probably for a bit longer than you usually do. And once you get a Brutalisk or 2, you'll survive. Even if you don't, the first few waves have like very few air units, and you want some spore crawlers at the conduit anyways, so you can put a few there to catch like the Scout or Phoenix or something that flies by from the second wave. Most ground comps, they'll just die to Toxic Nest. So yeah, once later on you'll have swarm hosts or anything, and you'll have a strong army and lots of minerals to make spores. So A.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. A?
Yeah, you make spores, you make swarm hosts eventually.
Which
and
prestige do we
it's just a
recommend?
wall.
Tunneling Horror or no prestige?
Doesn't matter.
Either.
Doesn't matter.
P2 if you're using swarm hosts.
Well, it does matter. You have to use either the second one or no prestige. If you use the first one, you're weaker. If you use the third one, you're also weaker. So there we go.
If you use the first one, then you're going to have to rely more on spores, but
Yes.
you know, it's just spore harder in the early game,
Spore
and then
harder.
still same thing of getting swarm hosts.
More spore. There we go. All right. Abathur goes in A. Not B this time. Nice. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak isn't particularly good at using the building thing, and he doesn't have a top bar that could just cheese it, so that's not great. Your best option is probably gonna be like Wrathwalkers ? Sitting behind Alarak while you have supplicants. You probably use P1. You have Alarak in front. He gets feared, but that's okay. You can keep eating supplicants while feared, which just buffs your Wrathwalkers so they kill stuff and hopefully never get shot at. That's at least how I usually deal with fear of Alarak. Unfortunately, with microtransactions, it's going to be kind of expensive, so it's not going to be great.
Can't you just rally all your buildings to Alarak or the mothership and just micro that one guy?
The problem is fear will completely ruin that, like
Aw.
utterly. So I think your best option is basically you have Alarak in front. You can rally supplicants to Alarak. That would work. You have Alarak in front with all the supplicants, and you have Wrathwalkers behind that. And basically, the only micro you should have to do is move the Wrathwalkers and pull them backwards if anything tries to aggro onto the Wrathwalkers. And you just want the Wrathwalkers to sit behind, shooting stuff, while supplicants get eaten in front of them. And that makes them stronger with P1. And make sure you have Havocs following your Wrathwalkers around so that they get the extra range.
All right.
It's not gonna be great, but it's
serviceable.
Probably the best you can do. So it's a C. Yeah.
C. How about you, Twotuuu?
Yeah.
I think so. Alarak getting feared is really annoying, but Wrathwalkers are nice. I use P3 because mobility is good.
Yeah.
Using Empower Me costs a lot. So Empower Me costs like 200 or something because you gotta keep microing.
Yes.
Overcharge is good because you can kill a lot of stuff and the enemies aren't stronger. So you just put pylons plus maybe a cannon or something for detection, and then you overcharge and you kill them. I put Alarak in B because like I don't think anyone's actually that bad.
Yeah, I also had Alarak in B. What do you think, Sticksbender? Is B okay?
Yeah, it's fine, I guess.
All right. So do we recommend first prestige or third prestige?
I think either's fine.
Either's
Wrathwalkers are good because
Alright.
you just move command and they'll shoot everything along the way.
So either Shadow of Death is good or the Artificer of War. Is that Artificer of Souls? No,
Souls.
Artificer of Souls. They're both good. Arcturus, where do we have him?
He has bunkers and he has ESOs. And ESOs you just target like the 2 spawn points.
Yes.
And bunkers you just set and forget. So
you can actually just contaminate strike them.
S.
S. How about you?
Yep, he mech building and he have good top bar.
Yes.
It's perfect.
All right. Let's move on. Artanis, where do we have him?
So he could also mech building and have good top bar, but the thing is, it's basically he has good top bar to supplement 1v1 cannons. That said, 1v1 cannons can in fact shoot both up and down. So basically, Artanis is probably going to want to be like cannon plus maybe Tempest or something to help deal with things that outrange your cannons. And it's going to largely just be P3 Artanis using top bar as his crutch to handle most things, while everything else breaks on the cannons and Tempests. Cannons with shield overcharge are very tanky, so remember to use shield overcharge on your cannons. It is a good idea.
Yeah, shield overcharge also prevents fear, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
All right, so letter.
I'd say Artanis can be probably A.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I put him in B, but I don't have a strong reason to not put him in A, just because no one's really that bad. I think everyone is like, they're gonna do their part.
Nice.
You don't have to move the Tempest, you just park them by
at
the
exits.
cannons.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to, yeah. So as long as you know your solar bombardment timings, and you have like observers in position to use the solar bombardments, and you have cannons, you don't waste your top bar too much, then you'll be fine. So yeah.
A? All right. Which
A
prestige?
All right. Oh, third one.
Third prestige.
Definitely
Archer
the third one.
Commandant.
I will note also. I also am kind of like in the situation of like I had him in B, but the thing is I had him in B because I was like spreading things out too much for such an easy mutation. Where it was like, okay, A means you have like you could do the solid building static defense thing. B means well you got good top bar to protect your weakness of lack of buildings, and then C means you don't really have either. So you actually have to like fight the mutation. So that's why I had Alarak in C and Artanis in B, but we're squishing everything up, so I'd say Artanis A.
All right, works for me. Dehaka, where do we have him?
I did this with mass primal wardens, just all primal wardens, and I think 2 hives. They don't get feared. And so if you use primal worms or just units, then it'll be even easier. So S.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, he has good building, so yes.
All right. Fenix. Oh wait, which prestige? Anyone works, right?
P2 better,
Yeah.
so that you
P2
have
is best,
stronger
as usual.
Yes,
commanders.
Primal Contender is still better, but anyone will really work.
Especially since actually obtaining biomass obtaining essence for Dehaka is expensive because it means microing Dehaka, which costs a lot.
All right.
Pack leaders cost 1.
Yeah.
Fenix, where do we have him?
Phoenix. He doesn't have a big nuke everything top bar. He doesn't have cannons. Or well, like good cannons. He has cannons. They're not good cannons. He will have a fair bit of money lying around for those cannons if he's using P2 because his stuff is just so cheap and he's only ever really sending his champions. And just like, especially like if you're using mostly Caldalis and Tellus, you just warp in the Legionnaire shells and Adept shells where you want the shell farm to be.
Yes.
And you just A-move Caldalis and Tellus. And then they're pretty expensive to A-move, but it's just the 2 of them. So it's not that bad. You're not moving an entire army around. And the Phoenix suits cost only 1 mineral to micro.
Yes. Letter.
So it's not like absolutely terrible. B.
How about you, Twotuuu?
So I would suggest putting Caldalis, perhaps Talus, on a separate hotkey, so you don't have to like press your main champion hotkey all the time and like make all of them attack move. I put him in B because he's fine, but if like Fear can be annoying, but he's
Can be
fine.
annoying. All right, unanimous B. There we go. Han and Horner, where do we have him?
Han and Horner's probably the worst one, but they're still not too terrible. So you Strike Fighter the attack waves, the enemies, and you can drop mag mines. This is with P1, so you can drop like mag mines, kill whatever. And then you have missile turrets at the conduits, and you kill the shuttles.
Yes.
So yeah, I put Han, Horner in B.
Oh, okay. How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, they go in B. They're not that much worse. Missile turrets
Alright.
are a solid sag defense, and mag mines are good.
Sure. I actually had him in C because the middle turrets don't shoot down, but that's still, not that bad. All right.
Yeah, they're still gonna. You can make widow mines.
B it is. Karax. Where do we have him?
Gee, I wonder where Karax goes. Anyways, he's S. He could literally top bar solo or building solo, and
Cannon's
now he
good.
can just do both at the same time. Wow.
Cannon's good. Pew pew good. All right. How about you, Twotuuu?
Yeah, it's obvious. Cannon's good.
All right.
And
Use
Spear Badoon good.
either.
You don't even technically need cannons.
So anything except the second prestige here works here, right? Anything except the second prestige. Templar Parent.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
The second prestige makes your life awkward, although to be honest, it could work as well
it still probably works.
because carriers are good and the fear affects the interceptors, not the carrier.
Yes.
So you could just go mass carrier of P2
And it
and
would
it would
still
still
work just
probably
fine.
work just fine.
Yeah.
Your top bar's still there.
Top
so
bar's still there too. It costs 10 minerals per shot, so there's that.
Yeah.
Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan, microing Kerrigan is expensive, and most of the time you'll be most of the time Kerrigan is the main unit of your core of your army, so you're gonna be paying a lot. However, she generally builds up lots of minerals, so you can just make lots of spores. So even if you need to like hide, or if she dies for some reason, you can just rely on your static defense. I put her in B because if she gets fear, she might die.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Hero soloing as fear is annoying, and
Oh yeah.
that's basically what she's going to be doing. So yeah, B.
All right. I actually had her in A, but B sounds very fair. Don't have any reservations. Nova, where do we have him?
She has buildings. They're not amazing buildings, but she has buildings. And then it's hero soloing against fear. Only her hero can respawn instantly for more money, more microtransactions.
She doesn't necessarily need to hero solo. She can have Goliaths following her and Ghosts following her, right?
I would personally prefer to just have units set up around the conduits rather than following Nova around because
That's fair.
she's less not. It's more effective and safer for the units, but
All right.
yeah, B either way.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I just used usual Liberator, Raven, and then it's
Turrets.
like what you normally do, except you plan your attacks more carefully so that you don't spend that much money. So yeah, B as well.
All right. Again, I had an A, but B is fair. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor, he takes a bit of time to get his bunker and turrets up, and then you put tanks behind them. But once you have that set up, you just kind of sit there and wait.
Receive everything.
So I use P2 because you
Why
have
not?
tanks that
Yeah.
just blast
It's
everything to death.
Yes.
Hyperion gets feared, so like using P3, I don't think it's that good. So you can use P3 because you can still make bunkers and stuff. I put Raynor in A.
Yeah. How about you, Sticksbender?
Now, if we decide has it been changed that the Hyperion could fire during fear?
It no longer does.
Oh,
That was fixed.
well, that's lame.
Thank you,
That's not a
Tangrocraft.
fix. The whole point of the Hyperion was that it keeps firing during everything. It
Right?
was like an iconic feature of the Hyperion. Anyways.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's annoying.
Whatever. Moving along. Yes, the Hyperion gets feared, so it sucks now because Raynor isn't allowed to have nice things. However, his static defense is very strong. And
It's
so
semi-nice.
just spam stuff. No, I'd say his static defense is completely fine.
All right.
For this situation. I think he can make S, to be honest, because his static defense is strong enough.
Yeah. I actually had him in A, but I'm thinking of why not put him in S. I guess it's the early game. It kind of needs a bit of refining.
Especially
it's not as
since
easy.
you can't top bar solo so easily anymore, since we decided the Hyperion shouldn't be able to fire.
It's it's not as easy as the S guys. So I think we're gonna stick him in A.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily that much harder than Manx.
Really? What do you think, Twotuuu?
Yeah.
It takes time to set up, so you need to macro and everything and hope your top bar is good enough. Whereas Manx, like, he starts off with lots of firepower to handle all the early waves to get set up. So I don't think
I've had no trouble with setting up Raynor static defense on maps that are a lot faster in the early game than Void launch. So I don't know why I wouldn't consider it hard to get set up, but it's certainly not as easy as your Karax or your Swann. So fair enough.
All right.
I suppose.
All right, Raynor in A. Any prestige probably works here. Even if you use third prestige, it'll be weaker, but still bunkers are unchanged. Stetboy, where do we have him?
Stetmann. He doesn't really have great static defense. Gary is tanky and all, but he still can get feared, and that can be greatly inconvenient, especially if he's your primary anti-air for hitting shuttles aside from the spore crawlers. Like, if you don't have, like, if Gary is your primary damage and he gets feared, you might end up in the awkward situation of, even if he lives, he just slows you down from killing things. The next thing you know, the shuttles slip away because you didn't have enough spores and they got overwhelmed while Gary was busy pacing back and forth in fear.
Flying around in fear.
Yeah, he's probably going to be B.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I did 100% Gary with this. So all I did was, once I got Super Gary, I stopped mining gas and I just built evolution chambers all over the map and did Gary solo. And it was easy. It was fine. He doesn't get feared as much as it might seem because he has 2,000 HP. So his chance of getting feared is much lower than other.
Does the green zone overcharge also prevent fear?
Yeah, it's a shield, right? So
yeah, that's what I thought.
Should.
So just have the green overcharge on.
Yeah, so you just like Igor most of the enemies to death and then shoot down the rest.
There it is.
And if you're playing with, like, if you're actually building spores and units, it's gonna be even easier because you have things that like
shoot aside from Gary.
Like,
yeah. So letter.
So I put him in S.
What do you think, Sticksbender? Is S good for you?
Given the Hyperion has the same amount of health as Gary, and now suddenly we're like, but Gary won't get feared.
That's true.
Stays around longer.
Yeah, Gary stays around longer, but like,
Gary has a way to make himself even less fearable.
Yeah, but the Hyperion also has point defense drone, so it should also make itself less fearable. Maybe it's because we are just naturally more aggressive with the Hyperion, it being a temporary unit. We just teleport right in the middle of everything, whereas Gary are somewhat more.
It will make it less possible to do what you could traditionally do, which is you would wait till the second wave got up to the top of your ramp, summon Hyperion on that second wave, jump to the back where the first shuttle wave spawns, and then you could delete the first shuttle spawn where it spawned.
Yes.
Which allowed Raynor to have a really, really easy early game on Void Launch, making like Raynor one of the easiest early games on Void Launch in the entire game. To be honest, it would still possibly work, given that Yamato Cannon still just about one-shots the shuttles. But it's like, it could happen to not work if you do that.
Yeah.
In which case, you're still probably fine, because you have Banshees for the first attack wave. If you set up like 2-3 bunkers for the second attack wave and then just save Hyperion for the first shuttle set, you're still going to be completely fine with Raynor. I'm still not convinced Raynor isn't S, but yeah.
So how about Stetboy?
Stetmann is I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm convinced that he's S at all.
Right. If it's not unanimous, it's not S.
I can see A because its hero unit is very strong and it is safer than like Nova or Kerrigan, right? Your Novas and Kerrigan than Phoenixes.
I did have Stetboy in A because of Gary and the Spore Crawlers.
Gary is very strong. I can see Gary in A. I would be slightly worried against like some comp with a lot of damage ticks, like if you're facing against
Bio,
like classic mech, not Bio probably, because even though Bio is a lot of damage ticks, it probably won't ever get to hit you because you'll fire one E-Orb and everything will die on the first damage tick E-Orb. But like Vikings, Goliaths, Dragoons might get a whole lot of damage ticks in on you. Corsairs will get a whole lot of damage ticks on you. And keep in mind, Fear doesn't care how much damage the damage tick did. Its the chance of proccing is based on the health of the target that is being hit. So that means that if there's a whole lot of damage takes, that's more chance of Gary getting feared, in which case you're still probably going to, most likely, against most comps, unless you're lucky, you'll need to have static defense, or else Gary solo is probably going to fall apart a bit.
But even if it falls apart,
just a teammate that exists.
You can still make spores and lurkers.
Yeah, you can still make spores and lurkers.
Or spores or ultralisks, if you like guys that can move around. Yeah.
There are corruptors to tank for Gary if there's like air-to-air enemies.
If we're just talking tanking, why not overlords? They're only minerals.
Because corruptors are better at tanking. They're just tankier, and also they can kill the air units themselves, especially if you have the ability.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
Can just say, "Hey, look."
I agree that they're better. They're better at shooting up. I agree. I'm just saying, overlords might be, cheaper to micro too.
They are also tankier than overlords.
All right. That's fair. All right, so if it's not unanimous S, we're going to have to put him down to A. Second prestige, right, as usual? Best buddy?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Stukov.
That's the whole point. Otherwise, it falls apart because he has no more health than a Kerrigan.
Yeah, Stukov, where do we have him?
You rally point your bunkers towards the enemy, and they'll eventually die. So, S.
Who will die? The enemy or your trickle? Yes.
The enemies.
And then your trickle.
You can also make missile turrets just in case, like, they get close.
I was actually thinking no prestige for Stukov this time because the bunkers can also just, be the static defense, which they're good at.
That's an option, but the endless mob also just works.
Yes.
You might as well use P1 then, since the compound's not that great. And
you're
gonna use bunkers.
Yeah, you might as well use the first prestige.
I'd say the compound actually is really great, but either way, I'd say it's any prestige basically as Stukov. So, either way, you're spamming bunkers.
So letter.
S, obviously.
S. S for Stukov. There we go. Swann, where do we have him?
He has buildings. He also has a top bar that self-targets for free.
Yes.
Especially if you use P1, you don't even have to use active top bars on it.
Yes.
It's all just great. Although I believe it's only one mineral to command the laser drill anyways. Yeah, you just spam buildings. So, yeah, Swann good. S, easy.
Easy S. How about you, Twotuuu?
Yeah, building guy
Building guy. There we go.
gets S.
Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus, if you're using Lone Wolf, he might get feared. And if he gets feared, you have to like bail him out with a medevac, which sucks. But the good thing is, if you get the first shot, most of them are going to die. And Sirius is really strong, but each
He's seriously good.
time you use a unit, it costs a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, it costs a lot of money to control him. So
Quite
I put
expensive.
him in B.
B? Ooh.
B.
How about you, Sticksbender?
I cannot imagine how Lone Wolf Outlaws don't keep up with Super Gary, especially when there's multiple of them. Like an individual one being weaker than Super Gary, yeah, I could see that. Just Lone Wolf Tychus being weaker than Stetmann, I cannot see that. So I'd say he's A.
Yeah, actually,
He's stuck with heroes, but they're really strong heroes.
really strong heroes. I also had him in A. What do you think, Twotuuu? Is A okay for you?
It's like you're gonna not get a lot of money because although there's a lot of downtime to collect money, yes, but you're gonna spend a lot of money just moving units. Which Gary, it's just one unit.
What I would do here is just do Sirius solo, just Sirius. He's seriously good. And
I'd probably also use Tychus with upgraded grenade, just because at that point the grenade is just that wave, it no longer is a thing.
Yeah,
that exists.
you can camp Tychus at one of the exits. So you just need one.
Yeah, just stick one outlaw at each exit.
Yeah, so you don't have to move them. You just have to wait for the enemy to spawn, and then delete said wave, and then you can use. I would use just Sirius to walk around, shooting things. But, what do you think, Twotuuu?
All right, I don't have big issue with that.
Okay, so he's A.
Yeah.
Cool. Vorazun, what do we have him?
Oh look, our cannons are invisible now. That's her whole thing. That's what she's got. Her cannons are invisible now. Comp dependently, it can be good. Like some comps don't just send a billion detectors immediately. Some comps do. Her top bar is decent. It can't actually kill the shuttles, but it's helpful for like supporting. She's maybe A, but probably B.
Yeah. What do you think, Twotuuu?
Comp dependent. If you're fighting Terran, there are no detectors around the shuttles, so you get just like park Corsairs there, and they just get killed. I put Vorazun in B because she's army based.
All right, unanimous B. We're still using Keeper of Shadows here, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Literally always.
Zagara, where do we have him?
She has pretty decent static defense, so you just make bio launchers and spore crawlers and spines. You can I think I used P1. I don't remember. I think I used P1, and then you just rally your banelings and Scourge to the center or something. And then, like, if you need to target, you spend a bit of money moving them, but most of the time you're just using static defense. I put Zagara in A.
How about you, Sticksbender?
It makes sense, honestly. She's A, and she's a good A, I'd say.
All right. I actually had her in S. Because
I could see Zagara S, honestly.
Not because of the defense, but because of the offense. She just clears the map, and then she just parks Balings and Scourge at the spawn points.
How exactly does she clear the map?
Balings and Scourge.
That is okay. Yes, that works.
Enemies aren't stronger.
Expensive.
You're
Yes, it's very. You pay for each and every Baneling and Scourge. That's very expensive.
Yeah, so you clear a base, then mine from it. Now you have 3 bases. No more money problems.
That works about as well as literally any of the other army commanders. So if your plan is to do that, then she's probably B tier.
Zagara ramps up more quickly though. She just gets armies so fast. But anyway, again, if it's not unanimous, it's S. I will accept A. Oh.
Ay.
What do you guys think?
I would accept S, but not for that reason.
Okay.
I would rather not spend the money and then not mine.
Not mine.
Not mine from the extra dangerous space.
Anyway, so what? Where do we have her?
A?
A.
A.
All right, there we go. Because
Anyway,
I
Zeratul
played
S. He's got good buildings again.
Zeratul S. The thing is, I played with the thing is I played with some of these commanders. I played Swann and Karax, and the thing is, when I get a commander who's offensively oriented, and I can hold down the early game for them, there comes a point where 10 minutes onward, they can just clear the rest of the map, and I just stand there waiting for the enemies to come to me, and they never come because my ally just cleans up everything before they even reach me.
Yeah, the mutation is so easy that you can just spawn camp. It's true.
Right?
Well, see that's why what you're supposed to do is you just once they clear out a spawn point for the shuttles, it's like, oh, is for me, and then you can camp that as well.
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
Zeratul S, right?
yes,
Zeratul.
Second
he's
prestige.
got good buildings once again.
You don't even need to mine.
You can use
That's
third
also
prestige for
true.
that. Yeah. If you're doing mining,
I would
you
still
want
use second prestige for no mining.
knowledge.
Probably, honestly.
Second prestige for no mining. How do you?
Yeah, because then you get better monoliths. Although
I
P3
guess.
is still a good option as well. P3 is probably a better option because you get to have the cooldown reduction on monoliths, but
All right. Just make cannons. The strategy matters more than your prestige, probably. Just make cannons.
yeah. Just
All
make
right.
cannons.
Wow, an even split. Look at that. 6S, 6A, 6B. Nice. Who's top of S?
Karax.
I
Karax.
kind of want to say possibly Swann is better than Karax, but if it's not Swann, it is Karax, and if it is Karax, then Swann is second.
I was actually thinking Swann too. I don't have a problem with Karax either, but this is the one where I played as Swann, or rather I played as Karax. My ally was Zagara. I was waiting for the enemy to come to me, and they never arrived because Zagara just camped the spawns with Scourge.
I don't think the fact that the game was spawn camped means that Karax couldn't solo this against any comp
I
with
agree.
his eyes closed and an arm tied behind his back.
I perfectly agree with that. It's just, I was the one who felt useless because I had a beautiful wall there that was like just there to look pretty. But anyway,
I'm pretty sure you just felt useless because you were playing on Void Launch without a million mutators to make the map actually, do
Challenging.
anything because this map is too easy. It's a
Yes.
very easy map, by the way.
Yes, it's a very easy map.
We didn't mention that, but this is a particularly easy map.
It's a one-wave map, as I've mentioned a few times. You only basically have to worry about that last wave. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Karax or Swann for top of S?
I would say Swann just because Karax has to pay money to shoot his top bar, whereas Swann's top bar go burr by itself.
All
That's
right.
like the only difference.
All
Other
right.
than that, they both just spam buildings.
Swann number 1 in S, Karax number 2 in S.
Yeah.
Who's next?
And then Zeratul probably.
Yeah.
Or Stukov. Stukov's good, but I think Zeratul is better.
How about Arcturus? I think Arcturus is also pretty good. His bunkers are pretty good.
Arcturus is pretty good. P3 Stukov is really good and really easy.
Yeah, I can see that. So Stukov.
And P3 Stukov's especially great because it will accidentally do that full clearing thing as just a byproduct of its defense plan.
Okay.
He will defend so hard he accidentally clears Amon's base.
Okay. So Stukov number 4 in S.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works.
And then Arcturus, then Dehaka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who was the one in who was the one in A who we were considering for S? Is that Raynor?
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Is Raynor closer to Dehaka than he is to someone like Tychus or Stetboy?
I would say so personally, but
Yeah, I think Raynor's actually closer to Dehaka.
alternatively, you could just leave him in A for the sake of, look, everyone, it's perfect symmetry. It's a perfect rectangle.
It's a box. Anyway,
The
so
tier box.
Raynor's either top of A or bottom of S, right?
Yeah.
Twotuuu.
Sure.
Who's next in A?
Zagara.
Zagara. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Then Tychus? I think Tychus.
I have actually no idea between the next 4. Honestly, they're very different in their approach to life.
Tychus just plays slower, but I don't think he. Yeah, you can just park an outlaw at each of the exits, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah, if you don't like to.
Although you
pay
probably
money-
want to have the outlaws like positioned a little further forward, so you'll have time to like medevac in a replacement outlaw if they get feared and die or something.
True.
Yeah, just in case. Also remember, you're going to need the Odin to deal with the big waves.
Or do I put Stet Boy third in A?
I think Stetmann is better than Tychus probably. I think Tychus is arguably the worst option of the
Worst in
4
A?
remaining A's.
How about Artanis? Artanis has Shield Overcharge, which does prevent fear. So
Yes,
you can
he
use that
also
for
has
big waves.
he also has Archon dudes who keep sending out orbs even if they're feared,
and Soul
which is
Bombardment.
like the big bulk of their damage, and Solar Bombardment, which deletes big waves.
Yeah.
Like
So-
Artanis can kind of can be very top bar heavy, and then he could just have a wall of cannons.
So Artanis number 4.
Tempests.
Artanis number 4.
Who? Sure.
Uh,
Who was number 3?
Number 3 Stet Boy. Number 4 could be Artanis or
See,
Abathur is good
Yeah.
too.
do you remember our Abathur Artanis run where
Oh, yeah.
I just made cannons?
yeah. He
Well, I
did
just
just make
make
cannons.
Yeah, and I decided to try it, and I just like, oh, I could do this by myself. So
Yes,
I made
you
no
can.
units, just cannons.
Yeah.
And it was doable.
It was doable.
Oh yeah, totally.
But
His top bar is strong, and cannons are in fact decent, even with.
how
the
many
base ones with cannons.
actual enemies were getting to you, like past me?
Oh, in that game, nothing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
This is a mutation which will see a lot of people just like soloing it without having planned to solo it because they just happened to have a defense that was slightly in front of their allies' defense, and oops, I accidentally won by myself.
Yeah.
It's an easy mutation on an easy map.
I used 3rd Prestige Abathur, by the way. Early game was really rough, but once I got my first Brutalist, to be honest, it was not really my first. My second Brutalist, it became really easy.
This is about as close to standard brutal as you're gonna get with weekly mutations. It's just about as close as you're gonna get to standard brutal. So
Arguable,
you
but
know.
I can see the point. Okay, so we have Artanis, then Abathur, then Tychus.
All right.
All right, who's top of B?
Nova?
They're all so expensive.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I'm not
They
sure
are
what Nova
expensive,
was going.
I feel
but
like
they're good.
I'm losing resources just thinking about this.
It might be Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Phoenix is really strong.
We're using the second prestige, right? So
Yeah.
recap. Caldalis and Talus go forward, then the rest of the champions go along with them, right? It's just
I just might do Caldalis, Talus, and a photon cannon wall, personally.
that might
but,
work
yeah.
too, actually. Yeah, that might work too. So we put Phoenix top of B, and then
Yeah.
Hot and Horse definitely bottom, right?
No, I think actually they're second.
Second to the
I
bottom,
think
or second to the top?
Alarak.
No, second from the top.
Hmm.
Second from the top.
These Magmines?
Their top bar is strong, like compared to the others who. Okay, Nova has a good top bar, but hers is expensive, and everybody else here has top bar that doesn't even shoot the enemy. Like, I mean, okay, Alarak has. Alarak has a top bar that shoots the enemy, but still,
Nova's Griffin Airstrike.
Nova's Griffin Airstrike, but she pays a bunch of money for it. Alarak can shoot the enemy, but it's just structure overcharge as opposed to the entire slew of Han and Horn or top bar. Kerrigan doesn't have a top bar, and Vorazun's top bar is pure crowd control, but she still is going to need to have either expensive unit microing to kill those units once they're crowd controlled, or else she's just going to be relying on the Great Wall of Cannons plus crowd control, which is not terrible, but I would rather Haunted Hoarder so that with big waves I could remember we've mentioned this is like kind of a one wave map. Technically it's not entirely just a one wave map. There's also other big waves, and having the ability to slam a space station into those waves is pretty good.
I'm thinking about
you could just set up mag mines around like the escape points for the shuttles as like a backup plan, where if they get past your army and missile turrets, then the mag mines will just blow up the shuttles and you'll win anyways.
I was just thinking about the last 3 waves, because the fifth set of shuttles, with the fifth set of shuttles, the wave spawns at 19 minutes 20 seconds. It's a big wave. The sixth set of shuttles spawns soon after that. I think like 21 something, and the very last one spawns like 26 something. So I'm not sure you'll have a top bar. I'm not sure the call in the fleet will be sufficient for one of those.
You can use it on like a side set of shuttles, but even if like everything is going wrong for the last set of waves, you plant mag mines on the escape points, and on the side ones at least, on the one on the far left and far right, the shuttles are kind of in front of their escort, so the mag mines will just blow up the shuttles as they're like when they're like all converging on each other to escape. You just blow them all up with mag mines. So even still, you have top bar.
How about
I don't think you need like 10. But you
only need technically you only need, assuming every mag mine is able to hit, you only need 3 sets. So assuming like you're giving yourself a little wiggle room, with P1, like 4 sets of mag mines, and that's the whole shuttle wave gone.
How about Alarak with just a wall of cannons and then Wrathwalkers behind them at the exits?
I would prefer supplicants in front of my Wrathwalkers over cannons.
Cannons shoot
personally.
up though. The cannons can shoot the shuttles.
You don't need cannons. You need overcharge.
Yeah,
you
that
overcharge,
too.
yes.
That too.
Also, you want the thing is that the Wrathwalkers can't walk over cannons. They can walk over supplicants, and you want to make sure your Wrathwalkers aren't wandering around awkwardly trying to like get into position ever. You want them just sitting safely behind something that draws aggro while they shoot. You can use cannons.
You can have a few cannons.
Yes.
I would personally prefer to use P1 with supplicants, but
yeah,
sure
I think I might prefer that strategy with Alarak than Haunted Hoarder.
I would consider Alarak quite bad.
Sorry.
I wouldn't even put Alarak third. Sorry.
No, I would put Alarak second last.
Second last. Who's last?
Vorazun last.
Vorazun.
No, I was
Vorazun last?
But okay.
Wait, what? Sorry.
Let's go in order.
Okay, who?
Okay.
The top in B is Fenix. Who's second in B?
Haunted
Hoarder. Okay. I'm not sure how I got convinced into this, but sure, let's put Haunted Hoarder in B. Or in second in B.
The Magmine drop is really good.
The Magmine drop? All right, let's go with that.
Magmine drop is really good.
And then Nova or Kerrigan?
Kerrigan.
Nova.
Because I'm thinking Nova. Because Liberator's
Kerrigan, it's like if she dies, you're in big trouble. Nova is
Nova dies. Oh no, anyway.
That's true.
Army's good too.
That's true. Okay, Nova makes sense on the basis of if she dies, she doesn't die for an entire minute.
And then Kerrigan, then Alarak, then Vorazun. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, there it is. Guys,
that makes sense.
That's our tier list for this week. Go watch Twotuuu and Sticksbender's channels. I will link them down below, and I will see you guys next time. What do we do for the rest of that? We still have 16 minutes before it goes to an hour. What do we do by that time?
Do you need to have it be an hour?
No. I'm just highlighting. Yeah. I'm just highlighting the fact that we've never been this fast before with a tier list.
Because it's like Karax Swann is very clear.
I don't think I need to have Zeus edit this. Just that's how quick this is.
Possibly.
Right? All right. Okay.